Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast, the VRG Virtual Racing League at Watkins Glen. Here with you on this Tuesday evening for the Champions Grand Prix. I think this is race 5 in the series. Currently out with our practice session. We're going to run this one from 8 p.m. until 9 p.m. Followed by a 30-minute qualifying. And then a 30-minute race from 9:30 to 10. We appreciate your patience as we get the stream up and running this evening. Had a few technical difficulties there, and iRacing had a number of updates to push out this evening. Thought we got them all before we signed on, but must not have. Anyways, looks to be about 22 minutes transpired in this practice session. We're going to follow around, sit here quietly, chime in every now and again, and see how our races are doing this evening. This is Ian Wisbon with the VRG Virtual Racing League here at Watkins Glen for the Champions Grand Prix. We thank you for joining us out there on YouTube. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate you joining us. Sit back and enjoy the racing. Looks like a beautiful day out in Watkins Glen, New York State. Current weather looks to be 69 degrees, 0% humidity, partly cloudy, and a very, very light wind, 1 mile an hour. So sit back and enjoy. We'll be back with you in just a little bit. Good evening and welcome back to the VRG Virtual Racing League. Coming at you tonight from Watkins Glen for race 5 of our series, the Champions Grand Prix. Here running the full configuration of Watkins Glen, including the boot and the bus stop. Currently following along with Ralph Padgington. Picking up Spencer Patterson. Spencer Patterson recently having a race win out there again in his Audi tonight. He's very quick in that. Looking forward to seeing how Spencer does this evening. Looking at our timing tower here in this hour-long practice session. Ian Ditson's out on top of the minute 48. Followed behind by Dave Fitzgerald, visiting us from the WDCR Region SCCA out of Washington, D.C. Third place here we have Stefan Vappa. Fourth place Jim Karamanis. And fifth is Spencer Patterson. Looks like Niall McCabe back there might have had a bit of a loosey-goosey moment. Following John Woods, he heads down towards the laces of the booth here. I believe he's sponsored this evening by Monster Energy Drinks. John Wood, a frequent competitor in the iRacing series. Likely needs that Monster Energy drink to keep him going. Beautiful day out there this evening. We thank you for joining us out there in YouTube land. Apologize for a bit of a delay in getting the stream up this evening. Again, iRacing pushed out a number of updates this evening, so we had to get all of those downloaded. Added a couple of cars, improved some of the track features on a number of other tracks we run at. Understand the sound engine has been updated. Looking forward to that in future updates. I believe the sound quality for the car sounds and various other noises are going to be improved, so it should be exciting to watch and see how they improve the product. You'll notice new to the stream, some of our drivers, we have custom headshots in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Stefan Vapp is here as a shot of a very unique trailer he and his father bring to the track with them. That would be, I believe, their Saabs, and I apologize for not knowing exactly which cars those are. Stefan out this evening in the VRG liveried Vintage Motorsports Magazine Mercedes-Benz. Looking down through the field, lots of Mercedes. We have Jim Karamanis out in the sole Ferrari at this moment. And then a handful of Audis. Ride along here for a little bit with Mac McCormick. Max slow and steady. Understand he's got some new kit in his rig setup. Starting to feel that out. Work his way up to it. And I understand Jim Karamanis out in his Ferrari this evening. First time out with a new Fanatec setup. He sent me some pictures earlier this evening. Looks quite lovely. Also moved to triple monitors. So Jim has a much wider field of view starting this evening's race, which I expect will prove to be very useful. When we get to the start of this race, around 9:30 this evening. On board with Spencer Patterson out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in his Audi. See if we can pull up the current point standings and see where everybody stands. Unfortunately, we picked up Fred in our championship standings. Don't mind Fred. The broadcast crew here is working on getting the championship point standings component of this figured out. We'll see if we can get rid of Fred the next time I pull these up. There we go. That's a little more like it. So as we can see here, Darren Treacle's out on top with 75 points, followed in second place by Stefan Pappa with 48. Ian Ditson also third place with 48 points, tied. Stefan having a slightly better finishing history than Ian, followed by Robert Hines and Jim Karamanis rounding out the top 5 in our championship point standings. Riding along now in the Treacle Insurance Blimp. The Treacle Insurance Blimp having attended all of the VRG Virtual Racing League races thus far, and we appreciate their patronage. Give us a bird's eye view of what's going on out there on track. Let's catch up with Ian Ditson, who I believe is riding the cat liveried Audi this evening. Yes. Up sponsorship there from Caterpillar. It's a sharp looking car. I believe I saw a JPS sponsored Audi down the field a little bit further as well. I believe that's Matthew Barber. Let's check in with him and see if that's true. Lovely livery there on that Audi. The John Player Special. Jump in the cockpit here with Matthew as he works his way up and out of the boot. Sorry about that, Todd. The cameraman's curse. Apologize for jumping on you there just as you're having a spin. Jump on board with VRG President Mike Lawton. We see Kurt Oosbay here. Picture of his chevron there in the lower left corner of the screen. And riding along with Christian Bergen in his Warsteiner liveried BMW Z4 GT3. Matches the E30 M3 he drives in real life. Hoping to get that car out to the track in the real world soon. Whoop, I got a little bit squirrely there in the bus stop, but he collected it. looks like the field is getting a feel for where they're going to lie in qualifying. 45 minutes into this practice session, followed by a 30-minute qualifying session. Ian Ditson with a just under 2-second lead on the rest of the field, and then pretty close for second, third, and fourth place between Dave Fitzgerald, Stefan Vappa, and Spencer Patterson. Jim Karamanis there in fifth. All running pretty tightly here. The Vintage Racer Group Virtual Racing League had a fun run at Watkins Glen last week, so everybody could get some recce laps in and get a feel for where they're going on track. Understand lots of fun was had. But particular trouble was experienced coming up the hill through the S's, and I think there was a bit of a kerfluffle on the start-finish there at green flag. Niall McCabe out this evening in the Audi. A little different from the green Sprigget we're used to seeing Niall drive. Looks like he's throwing the Audi around much like he does his Sprigget. I expect the handling is a touch different, but I think he's working his way up to it, finding some pace, putting in some generally consistent lap times. We have Paul Bova, Christian Berzin running together here. Paul out in a BMW M liveried BMW. Christian catching up on him real quick there in the bus stop. Caught him off guard just a little bit. broadcast support crew letting me know by text message Mario Andretti in '78, when he won his F1 championship in a similarly livered John Player Special Olympus in the Lotus 79. +1 to Matthew for an excellent livery. We should probably award points. It's always nice to look at a pretty car. Just under 8 minutes remaining here in this practice session. We'll go for a 30-minute qualifying session, followed by a 30-minute race here with the VRG Virtual Racing League. The Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, running the boot and the bus stop. Currently Ian Ditson out on top at 1:47. Spencer Patterson just behind. winding down this practice session, an hour in length. Just under 3 minutes left. Afterwards, we'll have a 30-minute qualifying session, followed by a 30-minute race. Up Ralph Solomon here, who just rejoined us. Understanding he was having some audio issues earlier. Hopefully he's got those sorted out this evening in the Audi. I think previously Ralph has been running the Ferrari. You can see down there in the lower left, Ralph represented by his Elva Formula Junior. Out this evening in a, looks like an 80s inspired Sparco livery. Bit of teal and a red or a hot pink. I like it. It's got a good vibe with the opening video for our stream this evening. Nicely done, Ralph. Wrapping up our practice session here, we're going to cut over to qualifying. Checkered flag is out on this practice. Again, I am your commentator, Ian Wisman with the VRG, here with the VRG Virtual Racing League at Watkins Glen for the Champions Grand Prix, race 5 in our series. It's a lovely day at Watkins Glen. Sure, the Seneca Lake looks beautiful. We'll get picked up here with our competitors as they leave pit lane. Stefan Vappa first out as we jump into a 30-minute qualifying session. Current point standings: Darren Treacle out on top, Stefan Vappa in second, Ian Ditson currently in third place, tied with Stefan, 48 points, Robert Hines at 24 points, and Jim Karamanis with 16 points. I don't see Darren out in the field yet. Oh, no, there he is. Just missed the practice session, but he's jumping in for quali. Looks as if Darren's out again this evening in his Marlboro liveried Audi. Harkins back to Ayrton Senna. Bonus points to Darren this evening for bringing out a fancy livery. Treacle through the bus stop. Down through the laces of the boot. Coming up on Mac McCormick ahead. Heel of the boot. Toe of the boot, then heel of the boot. Looks like Ian Ditson's out on top early in this 30-minute qualifying session. Last lap, a minute 47.75. Darren Treacle, a minute 47.83. Riding along with John Wood. Best time thus far, a minute 51. Jumping up to Darren Treacle, who's currently out on top, minute 47. Just pipped Ian Ditson. Looks like he had a bit of an off, though, at the bus stop. Expect he's going to get towed back to the pits and come on back down. Jump on board with Dave Fitzgerald, who's visiting us from the Washington, D.C. region SCCA. Out this evening in his Golf liveried BMW Z4 GT3. VRG Virtual Racing League Chair Jim Karamanis stretching the legs on that new Fanatec driving setup he's got, and triple monitors. For those watching who may not necessarily be familiar, you can run a single monitor, you can run 3 monitors, you can run a VR headset. With 3 monitors, you can really open up that field of view so you can see left and right. So you can actually turn your head and look as if you were in the car. Of course, with a VR headset, you can look around and it's just like sitting in the car. The wider field of view great asset when you're running tight in some traffic. Jim seems to be having a good time out there in that Ferrari. Seems the uphill, as you can see in the background there, catches a number of people out. These curbs can be a little unsettling, and if you overcompensate and go too far the wrong way, you can really get out of sorts. Picking up with Ralph Solomon. Looks like Ralph's had 2 laps in. See how he does on this next time by start finish. I understand the Audi is a bit of a handful. Quick car, but hard to keep from falling off the edge. Picking up a bit of time there on Ralph's 3rd lap. Coming up on 10 minutes into this qualifying session. Pick up Spencer Patterson here. Currently qualifying in 4th place. Ian Ditson working his way through some traffic here in this qualifying session. Ian, one of our younger competitors, spends quite a bit of time in the sim, so this is not unfamiliar to him. Though the vast majority of the field getting into sim racing for the first time or coming back to it after an extended absence. So a number of our drivers getting familiarized with what it's like to be driving in a sim versus their real world race cars, and it's an even bigger bridge they have to cross, considering most of our competitors are driving cars from the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And obviously we're racing modern top-of-the-line race cars here in this series. And while virtual, we have things like traction control and ABS and handling characteristics that probably most dream of in their vintage race cars. So it's been a bit of a learning experience as everybody's come on board and gotten their feet wet and figured out how to do this virtual racing. But everybody's taken to it pretty well. We do have a mailing list that everybody's a part of. So everybody's exchanging emails all day long, getting setups for cars, learning setup tips for the sim or how to calibrate their steering wheel, perhaps how to set up their chair and physical driving space. A number of our more experienced sim racers spending a lot of time helping everybody get up to speed, encouraging them to work their way up to it, because it is very different from the real world racing. I believe we have one of our competitors recently has upgraded to a 24-inch LCD display from a 14-inch cathode ray tube. So their view of the world is probably a whole lot brighter and crisper these days. Watkins Glen, located in the Finger Lakes region of New York, right next to Seneca Lake. A beautiful area. Nothing like spending a day at the racetrack and then heading down to the Seneca Lodge for the prime rib dinner, and then heading over to the bar. One of the highlights of my race weekends there, I do enjoy the change made in $2 bills and 50-cent pieces. A storied bar covered in the olive wreaths of previous race winners of Watkins Glen, patches and stickers. Really an excellent trip if you have the opportunity to make it up there. I welcome Todd Angel to the series this evening. I believe this is his first time running with us, so we welcome him to the Virtual Racing League, VRG. Currently qualified in first place is Darren Treacle in 1:46, about a second ahead of second place Ian Ditson, who himself is about a second ahead of third place Spencer Patterson. Gets a little closer after that, Dave Fitzgerald in fourth, and Stefan Vappa just behind in fifth. So this should prove to be a pretty tight running group once we get to the race, assuming qualifying wraps up the way it is right now. Not enough space there as we went into the the bus stop. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to have that spatial awareness to your left and your right. Oftentimes catches people out. If you're running a single monitor, you can press a keystroke to look left or look right, but it's very disorienting when you're in the car. So unless you're able to catch a peek of somebody's fender in the periphery of your eye, oftentimes when going to your turn-in point, it's a little bit too late, and they wind up having a bit of a come together. All of our competitors, as they're racing together, have a radio net, so they can give a heads up when they're coming through, or perhaps issue an apology for shutting the door on somebody. Generally just to have a bit better spatial awareness out there on track. It's all very gentlemanly. There's the occasional mistake, but it happens, and it's virtual racing, so quick tow back to the pit and back out on track. Just about 10 minutes remaining here in this qualifying session as we pick up Christian Bergen, Darren Treacle. Darren currently qualifying in first place. Looks like unless Ian Ditson's able to bring something, that might be the way it stays. Second place qualifying time. Perhaps challenge Darren Treacle for pole position. Pushing pretty hard there. Unfortunately, not able to make up enough time. About 5 minutes left in this qualifying session. Green to try and pick Darren for pole position. Ian a little bit quicker on that lap. He's running out of time though. Gonna have to find almost a second. Ian's picking up time. If he can keep it up, might be able to threaten Darren. Let's check in with Darren Treacle, currently sitting qualifying first place. Darren just a bit slower. No, a bit better. It's a 2-minute warning here on this 30-minute qualifying session here for the VRG Virtual Racing League Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, running the boot. I am your commentator, Ian Wisman with the VRG, joining you once again, race 5 here for the Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. We thank you for joining us out there in YouTube land. Appreciate you watching along with us. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Coming into the waning seconds of this qualifying session, Darren's going to come around, probably put it in the last lap of this session. And then once timing and scoring gets our grid set, we'll pull that up for you and run through in anticipation of the 30-minute Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen with the VRG Virtual Racing League. Ian Ditson off pace on his last lap there. He's not going to be able to overtake Darren. Looks like Darren has this one in the bag and will be taking the pole position. And he goes purple. So he's got that car in tip-top shape for qualifying. Wait here for the rest of our racers to get off the track. We'll bring up our starting grid once timing and scoring has that available for us. So this is race 5 of the VRG Virtual Racing League at Watkins Glen, the Champions Grand Prix. Race 6 next week is going to Daytona in the dark. So that should be an adventure for all of our competitors next week. Checkered flag waving. Competitors in the pit lane, gassing up, changing tires, putting in appropriate fuel for this upcoming 30-minute racing session. Looks like we've got a record crowd in the grandstands. Everybody has left the Seneca Lodge, had their prime rib, headed back to the track, and looking forward to 30 minutes of racing action here with the VRG Virtual Racing League. Looks like all of our competitors are back in pit lane, so we should have a grid here very shortly. Again, I am your commentator, Ian Wisbin, here with the VRG. I do most of the things IT, and we thank you for joining us out there on YouTube and watching along with us. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We do have our qualifying results up, so let's pull those up and take a look at our grid for this evening's running of the Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen with the VRG Virtual Racing League. Competitors are going to be out on the field waiting for the pace car to come out and take us around for a pace lap. Qualifying, first place, number 70, Darren Treacle. Second place, Ian Ditson. Third place, David Fitzgerald, visiting us from the Washington, D.C. region SCCA. Fourth place, out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is Spencer Patterson, looking for his second win in this series. Fifth place, Stefan Vappa in the VRG Vintage Motorsports Magazine liveried Mercedes-Benz. Sixth place, Bob Lang. Seventh place, Todd Angel. Eighth place, VRG VRL chair Jim Karamanis. Ninth place, Rob Hines. 10th place, John Wood. 11th place, Matthew Barber in the John Player Special livery Audi. 12th place, Christian Berzins. 13th, we have Ralph Padgington. 14th, Scott Nettleship. 15th, Ralph Solomon, the number 98 Audi. Mike Lawton qualifying 16th. Paul Bova in 17th. Mal McCabe in the 909 Audi, qualifying 18th. Mac McCormick, 109, 19th position. Kurt Uzbay, 20th. Ken Fitzgerald, 21st. And Rick Lindano, 22nd position. Be rolling out here shortly for our race this evening, the Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. Lovely overhead shot here from the Treacle Insurance blimp. Looking forward to an exciting race this evening. Pick it up with our race leaders here as we roll off for our pace lap. Take a look at our point standings before this race starts. We have Darren Treacle, currently our pole sitter, in first place with 75 points. Stefan Vappa in second place, 48 points. Ian Ditson, second place qualifier, 48 points. Robert Hines at 24, and Jim Karamanis in fifth place, 16 points. Looks like a clean pace lap thus far. That accordion effect in vintage racing, or sorry, virtual racing, can be quite a bit more intense than it is in the real world. Obviously nerves are running high just like they are in the real world. And when you're getting some heat in those tires, it's easy to get a little squirrely, have a bit of a tussle in the back of the grid there. But so far looking good. 2x2 coming through. Nice and tidy as we come through the last couple of turns before our pace car pulls off. Watch for the lights to go red and then go out. We'll be green flag. Look for a hard charge here for Ian Ditson down in turn 1. Try and take that lead position from Darren Treacle. Pace car is off and we're looking for the green flag. And there we go, green flag. Green flag is out. Hard charging down the front straight, all along with Ian Ditson and Darren Treacle. Let's see who gets this into turn 1. Darren on the inside of turn 1. Ian goes outside. Looks like he's going to make that one stick. Ian takes first position off of Darren Treacle, but he runs wide. Can he stick with it? Seems like he pulled it back on the track, is able to keep first place, but Darren inside again. It's a race up the hill, in through the S's. Let's see if they can keep this clean through here. Darren's able to pip Ian. Ian's going to stick with him as they run hard into this bus stop. The field behind keeping it clean. Dave Fitzgerald behind in third place, keeping close. Seeing if Ian or Darren makes a mistake here through the bus stop, but everybody's through cleanly. Currently running Darren Treacle, Ian Ditson, Dave Fitzgerald, Stefan Vappa, and Spencer Patterson. Dave Fitzgerald with a big off there on the outside. Stefan moving up into third place. Spencer Patterson right on Stefan Vappa's tail. Jump in the cockpit here with Ian as he tries to run down Darren, coming up through the toe of the boot. Staying close with Darren. Darren looks to be pulling away just a little bit. We'll see if Ian has anything for him as they come through the heel of the boot. Close racing between these two. They've been neck and neck through this entire series. Ian having one unfortunate race where he fell behind. Far off the pace, wasn't able to recover. Spencer Patterson chasing Stefan Vappa. Picking it back up for the end of lap 1 here. Darren Treacle is going to lead the first lap, followed by Ian Ditson, Stefan Vappa, Spencer Patterson, Bob Lang in 5th place. Pull up our timing tower here and see how everybody's doing. Clean racing thus far. We're going to jump down the pack a little bit and see what everybody's doing. On board here with Jim Karamanis. We've got Bob Lang, Jim Karamanis, and Todd Angel. Neck and neck here as they go down through towards the toe of the boot. Jump on board with Jim inside, see how he's doing. between these three. Todd's camped just behind Jim Karamanis, looking for an opportunity to take advantage. Looks like the rest of the grid seems to be spreading out just a little bit. Jump up front to our leaders, see how Ian's doing with Darren. These two Audis are pretty evenly matched, as are the drivers. Expect this one to stay close to the entirety of this 30-minute race session. Spencer Patterson, Stefan Vappa also running close. Stefan defending that third place position as Spencer's giving him a run. Close in behind on the nose of Spencer Patterson. Looks like we've got some excitement back a little further. Jim Karamanis and Todd Angel. Looks like Todd was able to pip Jim. Let's see if we can pick up that pass by Todd. You can see here it was a race into the heel of the boot, and Todd was able to stick to the inside of Jim. Todd has maintained that position over Jim. Ian Ditson has made up some ground on race leader Darren Treacle. Ian's going to the outside. Can he make this stick as they head towards the bus stop? Not likely. We'll leave Ian and Darren to it. We'll catch up a little further down the pack. Following on with Ralph Solomon. Bit of open air here, a little further back down the grid. Ralph seems to be enjoying that Audi. I know he's been working with it all this week, trying to fine-tune the handling, get some seat time in. I gather he was over at Spa-Francorchamps recently, turning some laps, auditioning perhaps for Arrows F1. Looks like Stefan had a bit of an off there, maybe just went a little too wide there coming out of one. Spencer Patterson pulled up tight behind as they run up the hill here. Stefan's been able to maintain a slight gap over Spencer the race thus far, 5 laps in. Todd Angel attempting to make a pass on Bob Lang here as they go into the bus stop. Todd backed out of it a little bit. Jim's just behind. Looks like he's able to make up a bit of time while Todd's attacking Bob Lang. way down the pack here, down to Scott Nettleship, chasing Mac McCormick. Watch these two run through the bus stop. Scott's sticking his nose in there. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Looks like he gives up on that attempt there. Backs out. They can continue racing. Back with Bob, Todd, and Jim. It's been a fairly clean race thus far, which is always good to see. It can get hairy if somebody gets off in one of these uphills where it's a bit blind. Oftentimes in the sim you try and lean forward and peek up over the hill a little bit. It doesn't work that way. Spencer getting a nice draft there off of Stefan as they head into the bus stop, but not able to get close enough. The Audi looking to corner just a little bit better than the Mercedes of Vapa. Stefan's able to pull away once he gets some runway. Turning here onto the front straight. Expect Stefan to gain a little bit of a gap over Spencer. Actually, it looks like Spencer's reeling him in just a little bit. Looks like Todd Angel was about able to get past Bob Lang. Let's jump back and see how that pass was executed. Down the front straight here into turn one. Todd goes for the inside. Outbreaks Bob just a little bit and is able to pip him there as they go into one. Christian Bergen running in clean air in this Warsteiner liveried BMW. Oh, sorry there, Paul. It's a camera crash, man. Sorry about that. Jump on board with Matthew Barber here for a little bit in the JPS Audi. Matthew looking very consistent this evening. That's important. If you can be consistent and then a little bit quicker each time, certainly improve in the finishing positions. Back up with Karamanis, chasing Bob Lang. Come out of the heel of the boot here. Jim will try and get a toe for a little bit. Watch these two gentlemen run out onto the front straight. Looks like the BMW has just a bit more stink down that front straight. Expect Jim to be able to reel it in a bit more once it gets a little tighter. Jump back up with our race leader, Darren Treacle, who's managed to put about 1.5 seconds on top of second place Ian Ditson. We see following behind there in the Caterpillar-sponsored Audi. Darren out in the Marlboro Shell liveried Audi, an homage to the Senna McLaren. About 15 minutes transpired in this 30-minute race session here at the VRG Virtual Racing League Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. I am your commentator, Ian Wisman, with the VRG. We thank you for joining us out there in YouTube land or Facebook, wherever you're watching us from. Closest race on the track. Looks like 7th place Jim Karamanis and Bob Lang. Todd Angel putting a bit of a gap between these two. Being joined here in the broadcast booth by my furry co-commentators Genevieve and Arthur, our two little papillons. Looks like Bob's managed to stretch out a bit of a lead there on Jim. We're going to jump up here to Spencer, who's running down Stefan. This looks like it's getting a bit close. A little traffic ahead. That might slow down Stefan, give Spencer the opportunity he needs to make this pass. It's all a matter of who can navigate the traffic the cleanest. Stefan able to set a pick there. Spencer able to get around, but has lost a bit of time to Stefan. It's going to be hard to make that back. John Wood with open air and the monster liveried BMW. John Wood not running his typical British racing green, going for something a bit brighter. Spencer and Stefan about a second apart here as they work through a bit more lap traffic. Come through turn 10. The last turn of the course, turn 11 here. .4-mile road course here at Watkins Glen. Deft maneuver there by Spencer. I believe that's Mike Lawton out in the Alpha Yellow Mercedes-Benz. Picking up with Ian Ditson, about 2.5 seconds behind race leader Darren Treacle. Looks like that's Matthew Barber there in the JPS Audi. Had a bit of a spin coming out of the heel of the boot. Dave Fitzgerald there, lap traffic behind Darren. Dave had a big off in the first lap. Unfortunately not able to make up that gap. Currently working lap 13. About 22 minutes transpired in this 30-minute race session for the VRG Virtual Racing League Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen International. Running the full course with the bus stop in the boot. Touch base at the closer races here out on track. Spencer and Stefan. Doing a great job of keeping Spencer at a distance here. He's picked up a bit of time here. Spencer's got a good toe on Stefan. Going up out of the toe of the boot, head towards the heel of the boot. Not quite close enough to go for that inside line, but he's at least going to let Stefan know he's there. A little bit of traffic ahead too, so this could work out to Spencer's advantage. Mercedes has just a bit more grunt out of the turn. Stefan taking advantage of that copious runoff at the end of turn 1 there. lap traffic yielding there nicely for third and fourth place as they come through. Looks like we lost Jim Karamanis just a little while back. Seems to have had a bit of an off. Oh, unfortunately, Spencer. What happened there? Unfortunately, the commentator was looking away. Let's jump back and see what happened. Stuck his nose inside of Stefan, just got loose, hit that curbing. Unfortunately, tapped the Armco and narrowly avoided there by Niall McCabe. Unfortunate for Spencer, he was having a real close race with Stefan there. I'm sure he's upset with himself there and having a bit of a discussion. So as it stands right now, Darren Treacle currently leading this race, following along here with Ian Ditson, just about 4 seconds behind our race leader, and then it's a distant 21 seconds back here to third place Stefan Vappa, who's now got nothing but clean air to run with. A bit of attrition here as we get into the later stages of this race. Jump back up here and see if we can see what happened to Jim Karamanis. Into the bus stop. Looks like Mac McCormick got a little squirrely come through there, and unfortunately Jim just got caught up in it, unfortunately. That happens sometimes. Jim in the pits getting some fresh tires. Let's jump in with Todd Angel here and see how he's doing. Coming up here on Spencer Patterson. Todd's just got to get around Niall McCabe there in the 909 Audi. And he can make a run at Spencer. Spencer took advantage of that lap traffic though and was able to put some time and distance between he and Todd. Looks like Todd's got the pace on Spencer though, pulling him up the hill to come into the heel of the boot. Coming into the waning minutes of this race, about 2 minutes left. Checking with Ralph Solomon, see how he's doing out in the Sparco Audi. Chasing down Kurt Ousby ahead. Todd making some time up here on Spencer. Spencer looks to have run a bit wide coming out of turn one. This might be what Todd needs to pick up a position. Looks like Todd's got the legs on Spencer's Audi as they head in towards the bus stop. Right up close on Spencer's bumper. Spencer taking the defensive line here into the heel of the boot. A little bit of traffic ahead. This might be what Todd needs to make this pass happen. Let's see if they can get through here cleanly. Tightened up real quick there. Todd able to stay close with Spencer. Less than 30 seconds remaining in this race. This is the closest race on the track at the moment, so we're going to watch this one to the end. See if Todd's able to pull Spencer as they come off turn 11 onto the front straight. This is an absolute drag race down to turn 1. Spencer's currently on the inside. Looks like he may hold off Todd as they go in here. He's got the inside line. Fortunately, yep, Todd's going to have to stay to the outside. Not able to get Spencer as they go into turn 1. That's 30 minutes. Expect the checkered flag to be out here. We'll jump on board with your race leader, Darren Kriegel. Looks like he's taking this one flag to flag. Biggest challenge he had was making sure that he got through turn 1 cleanly. Ian Ditson about 2.5 seconds behind, unfortunately not able to make up the gap. 17 laps completed. This should be our last lap as race leader Darren Kriegel comes around. This will be another flag-to-flag victory for Darren Kriegel, who's had great success here in the VRG Virtual Racing League. And here we go, checkered flag is out, and this is your race winner, Darren Kriegel, taking the VRG Virtual Racing League Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen International, flag to flag. Second place, Ian Ditson. Hard charge at the beginning of the race, just was not able to make up the distance in between. But well-driven race. We'll check in with our third place finisher here, Stefan Vappa. The Vappa Vintage VRG Vintage Motorsports Magazine Mercedes-Benz. Close racing between Stefan and Spencer Patterson. Unfortunately, Spencer had a bit of an off, and Stefan was able to take advantage of that. Looks like Spencer has a bit of front end damage here. Uncertain when that happened. Might have to check the replay once this race wraps up. Fourth place finisher here in your race, Spencer Patterson. Dave Fitzgerald there finishing just behind Spencer. We'll jump on board with fifth place finisher John Wood, the Monster Energy liveried BMW Z4 GT3. The track many of these drivers know and love very much, Watkins Glen. We go here every October for VRG at the Glen, sometimes known as the Bog at the Glen. An excellent event. Lots of track time. Strongly encourage you to come out and join us in October in the real world when we go vintage racing. Eighth place, Bob Lang. Bob had a solid drive. We'll follow him around, wait for our overall finishing to come through from timing and scoring, and then we'll take a look in the Discord room and see if somebody's willing to jump in and have a bit of a chat. And your commentator's been speaking on mute for quite some time now. We've got our race finishers here at the VRG VRL Champions Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. Looking to see if we can get our race winner Darren Treacle into the interview booth with us, perhaps second and third place. And looks like Stefan Vapp is also going to join us. He fell way off though in 11th, so I'm not sure that I trust timing and scoring at this point in time. Let's make sure that that's actually accurate. So give me a moment here. Again, my name is Ian Wisbon here with the VRG Virtual Racing League. We thank you for joining us, watching along in Facebook and YouTube land, and hit that subscribe button. In just a moment here while I bring up the Discord so we can chat to our drivers. Looks like we have everybody's getting out of their racing gear, perhaps going to grab a beverage, and then we'll pull them in for an interview here in just a bit. So bear with me while we cut over to the interview booth. Looks like we're having a spot of trouble with the interview booth this evening. Be with you here in just a moment.
Hitson, yeah, he sounds like a chipmunk again.
Yeah, there he goes.
Is that better? There you go.
I think I finished third. No.
That's probably from the fun at the end of the race that happened.
With the end of the race there. But anyways, a couple of updates in iRacing, so there's maybe a few bugs to be worked out in this new update release. Anyways, great race from you all this evening. Darren, you're taking that one flag to flag, though Ian was pushing pretty hard there in turn 1 and lap 1. Can you tell us a little bit about that first couple of corners?
Yeah, that was something else. He was pushing. He got a good jump on me. We're both in the same car, so we're pretty well matched as far as that's concerned. He went a little wide in turn 1. I did get hit from behind in turn 1. I don't know if that helped me a little bit or hurt me, but we were neck and neck going up through the S's. Neither one of us was gonna let off. So it appeared, and I think I just kind of squeaked by, and then he was right there on me for like a few laps at least, and I was having to defend. It was fun.
Yeah, it looked great from our side. Stefan, you had a heck of a race too, though the first and second put a little distance on you. It looked like you and Spencer Patterson were going back and forth almost the entire race.
Yeah, Ian and Darren, they put a little distance on me as an understatement. There was no way I was going to catch up to them. And when we started, I got behind Dave Fitzgerald, which is, of course, where I qualified. But somehow I got ahead of Spencer, and I'm not exactly sure how. That was the turn one
Watch
and up
the
through the
replay?
S's. Yeah, watch the replay. That's the shuffle through there. But then Dave got loose somewhere, and he spun off or just slid off. And then Spencer kept me honest for a long time. Honestly, he was faster. But in that, first turn shuffle, I managed to get ahead, and then I tried to play the barn door and see how much of the track I could take up, which apparently was enough. He caught me towards the end. I think we had 5 minutes to go, and caught me in some traffic, and was right on my bumper. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't. I'm not sure where they went, but yeah, what a race from Spencer. He was clean and fast.
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch up here. It looked like he had just a couple of more horses on him and making that Mercedes extra wide. But we had a lot of fun up here watching that one. It looked like a pretty clean race. I understand a bit of an improvement over the fun run that we ran last week. That one was not televised because everybody was basically practicing for this race, but it looked good. Ian, what'd you think of that Audi this evening? The Caterpillar livery looked great. You put in a heck of an effort, but it seemed like you just weren't able to reel Darren in.
It was a very difficult race. I mean, he's fast. It's plain and simple. We made the car wide like Stefan did with Spencer, and then we hit lap traffic, and it just kind of didn't stick. So it is what it is. We got one left, so here's your top 3 in points right now, too. I don't know what the order is after the race.
It's got to be close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working on my timing and scoring and my points. I do have a result standing, but I think I manually have to do the math and make all that happen. So the next race we'll get to see how we all stand. But I know it's a bit neck and neck there between y'all. So prior to this race, Ian and Stefan were tied in points. I think Stefan, you might have had a slightly better race result than Ian in at least one of the races, so that puts you on top. But
yeah, he did a lot better than me at Lime Rock. I didn't even finish Lime Rock, I don't think.
So next week we're looking at Daytona and the night race. Has anybody tried that one yet?
I didn't try the nighttime, but I did practice a little bit at Daytona. It's a tricky track.
I did a few laps. And I did them in the nighttime, which is just fine. They have that thing lit up, so it's not hard to navigate. But the cars really don't have a good setup for Daytona. I'm topped out and redlined on the banking in the Mercedes with whatever setup I was testing in. So it ought to be interesting how the cars actually behave when they get up there.
Yeah, it's I noticed in some little bit of testing I did in the various cars, they're all going to be tapped out. You can trim the wing out a little bit. It's definitely going to tap you out. But I've done quite a few races there, and I've raced there in real life, so maybe I have a little bit of a heads up. Never in the dark, but
There's first for everything.
Yeah, I mean, Daytona lights up. It's not. I did Ian live streamed our BMW League race a couple of weeks ago. It was at Road Atlanta in the dark, and wow, you talking about in the dark? That was in the dark.
Yeah, that was a dark race for sure.
Yeah,
Daytona's really, really well lit.
It is. Yeah,
you hardly even need the headlights.
Yeah,
it's
but
just
it should be
tricky
fun.
track in general, though.
Yeah,
Some of the corners catch me off guard there.
It's going to be interesting to see how the cars draft and how quickly they top out.
Finally get an idea of how drafting is with these cars.
As I can tell, the draft on these cars isn't very significant.
Yeah,
and so I'm kind of wondering who's got the highest gear. Because I don't know, but they top out and just bounce off the limiter.
Yeah, I don't know where you were topping out, but I think most of the cars that I tested were in around the 170 range, 171 or something. Mm-hmm. Does that sound about right?
I honestly wasn't looking, but they top out after the bus stop, going across start finish kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yep.
I mean, at least shortly after that, you're almost to your braking zone, so it's not too long.
I know when I went there for the SCCA runoffs back in, was it 2015, a lot of cars weren't prepared for how long they were going to be wide open in top gear. and some of the guys in my class that were running, they run in Civics or Integras or whatever. They were topping out in fifth or sixth gear, or actually fifth gear, and bounced just, I don't know, probably a couple hundred yards at a minimum, just bouncing it off the rev limiter. Ba, 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 just not even, if they had a six, they weren't switching. They just leave it. It was interesting.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it'll be
I'm excited.
certainly a fun challenge, considering the the majority of the field out there with the VRL is relatively new to sim racing. I think a nighttime race is going to be a real treat. I watched a couple of laps of an endurance series that was running there like about a week ago. I think I caught him at lap 300 something. Obviously an endurance race, but I think it's going to be a real treat for the viewers out there. And again, you guys had a great race this evening here at Watkins Glen, a track that we all know and love very much, certainly. So, we thank you for joining us up here in the commentary booth, sharing a few thoughts on your race. Darren, congratulations on another flag-to-flag victory there for you. Ian, let's hope you get him next week, or perhaps Steph, and you can come out on top and show them how it's done next week at Daytona in the dark.
Hopefully Darren doesn't win all but one race for this season, so we might have to work on that.
It's tough to get in front of him when he qualifies on the pole.
I was in front of him for about a little over 100 yards.
Yeah, he was there. He got a good jump on me.
That's more than most of us already.
So,
Yeah, good job, Darren.
Thank you.
Good job. Congrats.
Thank you.
Excellent work, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here at Watkins Glen for the Champions Grand Prix and up here in the broadcast booth. We'll let you go, and you can have a beverage with the guys over in the pub there down at the Seneca Lodge. Make sure you bring your $2 bills and your 50-cent pieces. And good talking with you all this evening. Some great racing out there, and thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Sure thing.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Certainly. Well, and that's it for the VRG Virtual Racing League this evening. We thank you for joining us out there in YouTube land and Facebook. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and join us next week. June 9th, we'll be at Daytona. It's going to be a night race. This is going to be an exciting one. The field thus far, to my knowledge, has not really spent much time in the dark, so we'll see how that one goes. It's going to be a challenge. Maybe it'll mix things up. I'll see if Darren can win flag to flag again, or if somebody's going to challenge him for that top spot on the podium. Again, my name is Ian Wisbin. I'm here with the VRG, the Virtual Racing League. We thank you for joining us here at Watkins Glen, and we'll see you next week at Daytona International Speedway for the 6th race of the VRG Virtual Racing League Series. Thanks all, and have a good night.